Hey, how are you? Thanks, love. What was his? Didn't even charge it.
That's what I wanted.
Charge it.
Peter, you.
How's that tasty? Tasty?
Hey, full disclosure, you had two.
Had to. That's awesome.
Oh, man, that is gorgeous.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
That is gorgeous. Who did that?
William Harmuth.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Copacetic.
Hey, Lewis. Yeah. I was teasing your brother today, right? I said, I didn't call you this week, did I? No. Because you know how I always call him? He's not cracking up.
He doesn't like it when I know it's quiet.
I end up giving her, she accepted the job. Yeah, she's going to do really well for us.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Well, IT's here. We can start.
1 minute according to my clock.
Mark, you gonna be able to put that up on the TV screen then? Okay, just not now, but when we're ready. It's not 6 o'clock, so did a good fight back.
That's great. We need to talk about that.
the stated session of City Council to order. Please rise for the invocation followed by the pledge of flag. Heavenly Father, please watch over our decisions tonight, that we make the right decisions for our people. Our residents of the city are the most important assets we have. Also, let us ask for some warmer weather this weekend and dry weather that during the candle lighting and the walk down to the kids' parade down to the first Christmas tree. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Ettinger?
Here.
Mr. Milan?
Here.
Mr. O'Connell?
Here.
Dr. Ruggles?
Here.
Mrs. Sultana?
Here.
And Mayor Panto.
Here. Approval of the agenda? Move to approve.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
And Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Action on the minutes of our November 9th meeting.
Move.
Second.
Move second. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Roll call.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
And Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
At this time, we have public comment on agenda items only. At the end of the meeting, there is time to talk about any items or comments or concerns about the city of Easton. Seeing none, we'll move on to consent agenda, Madam Clerk.
Okay, under the consent agenda, we have a COA approval for 441, 443 Northampton Street. We have another resolution approving a COA for 132 South 5th Street. A resolution approving a COA for 20 North 3rd Street. A resolution approving a COA for 1-6 Center Square. A resolution approving a COA for 505-507 Northampton Street. A COA approving a resolution for 139, 141 Spring Garden Street. And then we have a resolution disapproving at the Historic District Commission's recommendation a COA for 136 South 6th Street. We also have a resolution being introduced by Mrs. Sultana, which would be approve a professional services agreement with Artifacts. They do our historic preservation consultant services. We have a resolution, would have been introduced by Mayor Panto, approving a one-year client services agreement with Tracy Warner doing business as Blabbermouth Communications. We have a resolution that would have been introduced by Mr. Ettinger, approving an agreement with Barry Issett and Associates for design work for Lens Court.
Move the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
And Mayor Panto.
Aye. On the denial of 136 South 6th Street, I'll have John Kingsley give them a call to see if they want to apply for a facade grant that would put the wooden windows in instead of the vinyl windows. Maybe the difference in price could be the grant. There's no reports to be received by council, so I'll move on right on to committee reports. Mr. Brown, Finance.
Yes, Mayor. Tonight I'll be introducing the budgetary alignments for this year. Bill 32, which is approving the city's budget. Bill 33 will be approving the tax rate for 2022. And Bill number 34, amending 2022 general fund. And just for council edification, we'll be voting on the budget December 14th. And that's my report.
Thank you. Also, Mr. O'Connell, Economic Development Committee.
Mayor, on Tuesday, November 21st, Mayor Panto, John Kingsley, Sean Ziller, and I met with Easton Business Association representatives Ron Morris, Val Amato, and Mark Haldeman to discuss the establishing a communication hub in the administration, the purpose of which would be to provide accessible and timely information regarding event street closings that will alter the normal flow of traffic and business for the shops in the downtown area. Ron Morris said several business owners have brought this issue up with him. Mayor and John Kingsley are aware of the problem and are working on a solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connell. It was a good meeting.
Yes, it was.
Some good things. We already talked today with Mazin about what we could do with IT, either an app, a website, or text messaging that can let people know. The only thing we're going to have a problem with, as we said at the meeting, is the utilities, because they don't answer to us. They answer to anybody they want to answer to. Actually, they don't answer to anybody. Planning and Codes Committee, Councilmember Sultana.
Mayor, I do not have any report, but I really want to take the opportunity to talk about the conference that I attended in Kansas. That was amazing. I had an amazing time. Learned a lot how we can utilize our ARPA fund. I'm actually starting a youth council in the city of Easton to take them to the national level, and I will be talking to you, Mayor Pando, and other council members. But we would need some fund for that. I also become a member of the Asian American caucus and youth caucus. Youth caucus is for the elected officials who are under 40 years of age. So yeah, it's been really great. I will be discussing some great idea with you and Mayor Panto. So yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Public Safety Committee, Councilmember Ruggles.
I don't have any specific report on public safety. However, I would like to announce that we have set a date for the next community breakfast down the road here a little bit, but it's going to be April 29th. It's a Saturday.
Warm weather.
And everybody's invited.
23.
April 25th, 29th.
29th.
Okay, Public Works Committee, Councilman Mendinger.
I have no report tonight, Mayor.
Administration Committee, Councilman Milan.
No report, Mayor.
Report of City Solicitor, Mr. Shear.
I have no report, thank you.
Report of the Mayor, just want to mention, Friday, John Kingsley and I and Sean Ziller escorted the director of the Philadelphia branch of Small Business Administration around City Hall, around the city. They were here to see how we helping small businesses in preparation for Small Business Saturday. They visited the winter market. We visited 4 businesses. One that expanded, Adam Fairchild down at Easton Outdoor. We were there and they talked to him. He's also an SBA recipient. We then went to Amon's. We started we started out with Third and Ferry. Talked to Mike Pachetto. He also was a Small Business Administration loan recipient when he first opened up. As you know, he also expanded into Rod's Burgers and hot dogs over at the public market. Then we went down to Adams, down at the Easton Outdoor Market, Easton Outdoor Company. Then we went to Amon's, obviously a suburban business that moved into the city, is doing better than they did out in the suburbs, and they have a great facility there. And then they went. I had to get over to the South Side tree lighting, but they had they went down to Easton Candle, which was a brick and mortar today, but last year was just a hut. So out of the hut grew a brick and mortar store, and they make their own candles, and they're wonderful. So we had the SBA, and they were very important thing about the SBA is that they give a lot of our small business loans. They give them the opportunity to get started, and most banks don't want to fund small businesses initially. Tonight on your agenda, you have the Lens Court contract to look at that, approve that, to do some upgrades to Lens Court. We also have next week or 2 weeks, we have the Smith Avenue lighting. Friends of the Eastern Pennsylvania will be lighting up not only Smith Avenue, but the trees going up the median and the south side. Tomorrow I'll be at Shawnee School talking to the 5th graders, getting ready for the big game on Thursday. Thanksgiving Day does have some street closures that Tracy's been putting out on Facebook and social media. But also Thanksgiving, we want to make sure that everybody understands not only the street closing, but the game's really important. It's going to be crowded up on College Hill. The candle lighting is Saturday night at 6:30. It's a little earlier than normal. And then after that, I'll be directing the kids' parade down to the first Christmas tree, where we'll sing Christmas carols. We'll be led by the Big Easy Easton Brass Band. The artwork on Center Square, you may have seen, we did purchase that for City Hall. William Harmuth's really a nice, we don't have, we have older versions of the candle. We don't have one this is the first one we have when it actually has white wax instead of blue wax. Our affordable housing project got a nice article in the paper. You may have read it in Lehigh Valley Live. They interviewed Mike Brett, who's working with the Redevelopment Authority. We're working with the Redevelopment Authority as a city agency to do our affordable housing. We have amassed several houses and lots where we're putting up. We hired a consultant, architectural consultant, who does affordable housing from Philadelphia. So we're looking forward. Next year should be a really big year. Next week we have a meeting with our Housing Development Corporation, and we should be able to present some really good affordable housing projects. We know of at least 2 projects in addition to Shiloh Commons that the private investors are using. So we're developing policy of how we can help them keep their housing units and rental units affordable. And that's the end of my report. Mr. Campos.
Mayor, just 2 quick items. Wanted to let council know that I met with Athletic Director Sharita Freeman and talked to her about increasing the excuse me,
At Lafayette College.
at Lafayette College, excuse me, Athletic Director at Lafayette College, and spoke to her about increasing utilization of Lafayette facilities for our youth sports. Specifically, what this would look like would be in the forms of adding clinics, at least in the summer, that complement our sports. So some of the key sports, for example, football, lacrosse, etc. We've been fairly successful the last 2 years with girls volleyball and hosting clinics at their facilities. She's very open to it and understands that the sports helps really bring together people of all different socioeconomic backgrounds. And coming onto the campus also brings a new appreciation for higher learning, etc. So myself with our recreation director, Kevin McCarthy, are working on a more detailed proposal, and we'll be keeping council in the loop. In general, Sharita was very open to, on behalf of the college, to working with the city, and more importantly, making it economical for the city so we could have programming there. Certainly, the priority are the students, but in the summer, there is a really low utilization of their facilities. So I thought that was positive. In addition to that, we also talked about hosting tournaments, etc. So we are in the planning stage. One of the ideas that came out actually in recently dealing with the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club, Dean Young, and also with the mayor, that back in the day, there used to be more active, for example, a boys basketball league where the different nonprofit organizations would host games, etc. And since we have a very experienced recreation director, he automatically jumped on board on that idea, including potentially having a March or a March Madness basketball tournament, which is a great idea in the short run, and we think it may have some legs. So there's going to be more information to come on that, and as well as all the other programming. The second thing is, Mayor, we wanted to talk about is the RFP announcement for today. And Mayor, if you want to talk about it.
Okay.
So the administration put out an RFP for artwork in the southeast quadrant, and the idea stemmed from the fact that since you have a blank canvas there, so to speak, it would be great to tap into the local community, especially the artists from Easton in the Valley, and then wider if something cannot be procured, if you will, appropriate for that space. So the RFP is out. You'll see it on the front page of our website. In addition to many different factors, some of the more important points are our cultural history, cultural diversity, and something that is an opportunity for artists to present their work where next to an iconic structure, the center square and the monument, and then more important and very importantly, that millions of visitors come to the downtown on an annual basis. So there's going to be a lot of exposure. So if you want to take a look at the RFP, it's on the website, and we'll send it out as well to all of council. There is the tagged on there is up to $50,000 potentially for moving costs and potentially the creation of the sculpture. This would be negotiated in terms of how the payment would work. We would have to come back to city council and actually get approval on that. But I just wanted to let you know that the funds, the determination of where the funds are coming, have not been determined because that would be presented to council. For that matter, it may be amortized over a multi-year period too. But that hasn't been determined, and we wanted to see what's out there in the market.
Where would the artwork be placed?
The idea is in the middle of the southeast quadrant.
Right in the middle of the.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing is that we're using the same type of committee structure we use for the economic development projects. We'll look for people from residents to decide. It won't be a decision from City Hall. It'll be a decision based on residents, and we will also have artists on that board, but we can't pick the artist on that board until we know who's going to apply who's going to respond to the RFP. The other thing I wanted to mention was I want to thank you and the Boys and Girls Club and the YMCA for the volleyball clinic or kickoff on Sunday. It was probably 75, 80 people there. Was really a good opportunity to see that we're starting to finally expand our sports. Not with just, we expanded lacrosse a couple years ago, now volleyball, girls volleyball at least this year, maybe boys volleyball men's volleyball next year. But it's really important, as I said there and I said again, to me, when I was growing up, it was baseball, football, basketball, and track and field, but not in the city, only when you got to high school. Mr. Brown knows something about track and field. He still holds one of the records, right? About 30 records. Oh, excuse me. It was a really well-attended event. The city did provide $10,000 to buy the equipment, and will be a club team and a developmental team. So I think it's really good that we have a developmental team. Club team is very competitive and will travel, and go to tournaments. But this will be I'm really excited because it's finally starting to expand our soccer program, our lacrosse program, which wasn't held this year because of lack of interest. But we got to start really exposing kids because that's what they need. They need good activities.
Mayor, the one thing that we notice is the clinics, and that's why if you have the clinics at the college, but ultimately you need the coaches, and it depends on the model. Some of it's volunteer, some of it's paid. So in this particular case, the volleyball, the club is fueling the cost for the development program, which the fee for it is virtually it's very affordable. I mean, you're talking about $100 for an 8-week program, being trained by professional coaches, so to speak, and then entering into a tournament, similar to our golf program, where it's a very low entry fee. Not everyone has access to the clubs immediately, but by then it's too late because you're competing with kids, especially in the suburbs, that are constantly in a system that is training them from like day one, from first grade on. So there's a real need, especially for female sports here.
I think it's an opportunity, and the mayor, I guess, will agree with me, to go back to somewhat we used to do back earlier on, and that is tap into our people that have businesses to sponsor teams every year, and I think we're in a good place to look at that again.
And we are, Mr. Brown. The one thing about this model is that in many cases, like if you go to the suburbs, you can join their community centers, but you have a non-resident fee and you have a resident fee. In this case, for the traveling teams, it's a lot of non-residents, but they're certainly paying for all the costs that are borne in this program. but that's also then helping fuel the paid coaches to go and pay and conduct the development team training. Um, in in that case, like what you just talked about, I think it's important to have a mix of non-residents and also residents.
Agreed.
But they're definitely paying their way.
Agreed.
You see that.
And the last thing I'll say is that Kevin McCarthy and I did attend the YMCA Gala last Saturday night, accepted the, Easton got the Community Award from the YMCA for the partnership that we have, the collaboration that we have, not only with the volleyball teams, but also in the program, but also with the summer playground program and the lifeguard program, et cetera. So we're excited that we have that as well. I believe that's it.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
It's not related to what just has been reported. Thank you so much for your report. I have a question like about Kanisa's pudding bar. Is there any update on that or anything?
No, Ms. Sultana, other than the report that the administration gave, I do not have any more update on behalf of the administration.
Okay, thank you. Another question is about Safe Neighborhood. We're working to end gun violence in Easton. I think they want to start a chapter. Is there any update on that?
I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with the initiative.
What is the name of the organization who are working in Allentown? They want to start a chapter in Easton to end gun violence. think
Neighborhood Promise.
Neighborhood Promise. Yes,
So,
thank you.
Okay, if you, sometime back, I did report that we were having meetings with the NAACP, the school district, and the police department. This followed the shooting that occurred this summer
Right.
at
Yeah.
Heritage Day.
Mhm.
At our next and in between that meeting and the next meeting, which it should be shortly, I had met with the director of Neighborhood Promise, and just only as a collaboration effort to talk to various groups so we can brainstorm how we can better manage our outdoor festivals without having to capitulate to potential, social issues. And this is like really a couple bad actors potentially in the community that would thwart our ability to socialize. So all we're doing is collaborating and organizing on those issues. It has nothing to do with anything else.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, Dr. Ruggles just reminded me that we have not had a meeting since our award. We were named the Community of Distinction Award with the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission. So that is also, I think it's a really indicative of what's going on in our city. So
What was the name of that award, Mayor?
Community of Distinction.
Thank you.
It was exciting, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I unfortunately was out at the conference. I couldn't attend, but it was a great award.
Yeah.
I did make the presentation at their panel of judges. Correspondence, there's no correspondence, there's no unfinished business, so we'll move right into new business, Madam Clerk.
Okay, we have bill number 32 being introduced by Mr. Brown, which would provide revenues and appropriating specific sums to be required for the city budget during the fiscal year of 2023.
So introduced.
Second.
Yep. Bill number 33 being introduced by Mr. Brown also, which would fix the tax rate for 2023.
So introduced.
And we have a bill number 34 being introduced by Mr. Brown, which would amend the 2022 general fund budget.
So introduced.
Okay, we have a resolution being introduced by Mr. Milan, which would agree to a stipulation to allow for a quieting of title, and it has to do with the Easton Emergency Squad and portions of Holly Street, Palmer Street, and William Street.
Resolution.
I'll move. I'm sorry.
Second.
Just a question, did we even look at that from the administrative point of view? Did Dave look at that? I mean, I know they're vacated properties, I don't really, I'm not opposed to it, I just.
Yeah, Mayor, Dave had looked at that well over a year ago.
Oh, I remember when we looked at it a year ago.
Yeah, and that's where we negotiated to retain easements, rights to easements in, I believe it's William Street.
Right, if we.
And the rest of it said he had no interest Had no interest in any of the
No,
streets,
none.
but just to preserve the rights of way, so the resolution.
I met with the new owner of Weyerbacher Brewery, and they're also was looking at that as well as the empty lot that the old craft rug mill owner, he lives up on College Hill, I forget his name offhand. He owns that land too, and they're looking to possibly develop that. But Weyerbacher, just so the council knows, is now owned by Ed Lozano. You may know his wife Vicky from Crayola Experience. Ed is I knew Ed when he was the president and CEO of, what's it called? The Iron out in Pittsburgh. Iron Beer.
Oh, yeah.
Iron City Beer out and he turned that brewery around. So we're looking for exciting things there that happen with Weyerbacher, get them back up and running full speed again. So, roll call.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milian?
Aye.
And Mr. O'Connell.
Aye.
We have a resolution being introduced by Mr. Ettinger, council would authorize the removal of the city's Bushkill Creek Dam that was requested by the Wildlands Conservancy.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second discussion. Dr. Ruggles?
I'm not speaking against this, but I do want to inform council that there were some things that were said on the night that they presented this that were not quite correct. One was that by removing the dams that were being proposed, we'd have 15 kilometers of unabated stream for migration. That's not the case. There is a dam in that they didn't identify that is actually downstream of the dam that's already been removed. So that's just not the case. So the limitation will be about if you think about the Elementus or Hardcross or whatever you want to call it, that property, the back end of that property, there's a dam, and that dam is not one that is proposed for removal. So that would be the end of any migration upstream. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that.
Is there any way possible that, well, it's always possible, ability that we can table this until we get more information back?
Well, I think that, the removals, these are old structures, and, I don't know that they are really providing us with any benefit currently. There's money there to remove them. There is some benefit in the fact that they're being removed. But my concern was, you get presented information. If you want to make a decision on that information that you're presented, you want to make sure that it's accurate. So I just wanted to make council aware of the fact that it's not 15 kilometers upstream. It's more like 5. The second thing is I don't agree with how they did their analysis of flood because they did it based upon flows in the Bushkill stream, and in this particular section where our dam is, that's not the controlling factor. The controlling factor is Delaware.
Yeah.
So to me, that was kind of a misnomer, as far as, it's going to decrease the flood up 100-year flood elevation. No, it's not. It is for the Bushkill flow, but not for what would be backwater. Yeah. So anyway, I think there's benefit in this, and the money is there and has been allocated from the spill of the that was P&L had. whoever
power
owned the
company.
power company up there, the power
Maybe,
plant, so, yeah.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
And Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
At this time in the meeting, we're at the public comment on any items and concerns about the city of Easton, Mr. Ravitz.
I would love it if someone could explain to me why the dams are going to be removed. I don't know anything about that.
I'm sorry,
Could someone explain why the dams are being removed? What was the idea for that?
Well-
Can you give your name and address, please? Just for the
Marty
record.
Ravitz, 144 Church Street.
Oh, I had a 446.
Sorry.
I mean, dam removal is something that many environmentalists, push because it's returning the stream back to what it originally was. I believe that some of the information that we heard in the presentation also provided the fact that the upstream, the forebay areas on the dam are not conducive to the types of wildlife that's typically in the Bushkill stream. So if you went and you look for trout, you wouldn't find them in the forebay areas. You'd find them up in the more faster flowing waters. So you remove the dam, you now have the faster flowing waters where you used to have a forebay.
I see.
So, like I said, there's benefit in it. There's also the fact that there is some liability in owning a dam. In case it fails and somebody just happens to be standing beside the stream downstream,
Yeah.
you could be liable. But
Yeah.
and these are pretty old structures. I don't know how old, but they're pretty old structures.
Over 100 years.
Over 100 years.
How many dams are we talking about between the Delaware and the city
Well,
of
the
Easton?
proposal was to remove 3 dams. Okay, the one right down here, just upstream of
Sixth,
Third Street.
between 4th Street.
The city's dam, which is by our 500 garage on,
Oh, yeah,
on,
yeah.
Safe Harbor
Garage, yeah.
area, and then the third one would be it's a small dam that's very close to the silk mill, and actually that one is semi-failed because water actually flows around it currently.
That below the silk mill?
And so, I'm sorry.
Downwater from the silk mill?
No, it's
Right about
it's just downstream of the silk mill. Yeah.
Okay.
If you walk down the trail
Yeah.
where it branches off to go down to the
Yeah,
stream, it's right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So yeah.
Appreciate it.
Anyone else like the rest? We just need your name and address.
Of course. Good evening, council. My name is Robert McDonald. I live at 250 Bushkill Street.
Robert, did you say?
Yes. I'm here to question in regard to potential timeline on appointments to the Environmental Advisory Council. I have put in a letter explaining I would like to be a part of such, and do understand that there are a few different vacancies within that council. I would definitely like to inquire as to the timeline of appointments.
The ABC appointments will be next week, and I know your next meeting, and I know your name is on the list. It came from Ian.
Thank you so very much. That's everything. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you for your willingness to serve. The last couple months, we've had a lot of resignations from that board. Oh, good. Sounds good, Robert. Anyone else like to address city council? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Moved in second, discussion, roll call.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
And Mr. Milan?
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good night.